Okay. Leilui Nishmat Alicia Meir Ben Yaakov Cohen, this class is in. We're starting the Shemona Esrei. That many of you probably are familiar with. Okay, we're going to discuss just a few concepts in general of the Shemona Esrei, even though there's so many deep concepts in the Shemona Esrei. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the halachas of exactly what you're supposed to do. We're going to talk about a little bit about the matbea bracha, which is called the stamp or the coin of the blessing. And we're going to talk about the bowing, and then the actual first blessing itself of avot. Okay? But the first thing here I have written here, if you have in your sheets, I saw this in the Otzar Tefillot, which is this commentary on the Tefillot, and I was just so blown away. Completely blown away. Okay? So it says that these 18 blessings, by the way, they were fixed by the men of the Great Assembly, 120 elders at the time of the when they returned after the destruction of the first temple. But apparently the order was lost. They lost the exact order through all of the years and troubles. And only later on, after the destruction of the second temple, did they reinstitute the order that we have today. Apparently, I heard one rabbi who say, well, the order could have been, depending upon whatever was more important at the time. If there was a famine or there was a disease, they would have this prayer first, or if there was a issue of rain, they had to have this prayer first, or whatever it was. But in any case, they lost the order of it, and then came Shimon HaPakuli, who was one of the people in the yeshiva of Rabban Gamliel, who was in Yavna, and reinstituted the order. But the interesting thing is, these blessings, the 18 blessings, actually, you see, I have written here, were fixed on events that happened in the world. As we see here right away. And that's the first blessing that we have in the Shemona Esrei. And it goes down a list. I'm not going to give you the entire list, okay? But it's really unbelievably far out. The first one, actually, that when Avram Avinu, as we know, that he was thrown into the fiery furnace, and he was saved. He was in there for about 3 days, really hot fire, and he emerged right here. Joel, this is your seat. And get yourself a sitter. Do you have a sitter? No. Around that corner, they have it's good to have a prayer book.
Here, take this, and I know where they're at.
He knows.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Avram Avinu, when he was saved, right? As we all know, that he got saved from the fire, the Ur Kasdim that Nimrod threw him into, and he came out. The angels made an exclamation, and their statement, their reaction was, Magen Avraham. Okay? Now, it was great when I heard this. It was fantastic because now it replaces a lot of other reactions that I have to a lot of other things that happen. Like, when my wife would turn the corner, she would say Shema Yisrael, and then if she would turn the corner successfully, it's Magen Avraham, all right? Or, Magen Avraham, where have you been all night? Okay? Like what some people could have explanations for, like holy moly, instead we got Magen Avraham. Okay? So, but the angel exclaimed that, and thus was the first blessing. Now the second one, as we know, really corresponds to Yitzchak Avinu. Yitzchak Avinu, as we know, was sacrificed at Har HaMoriah. And the angels exclaimed when the test was over and he didn't get sacrificed. They exclaimed, Mechayim Eisim, who revives the dead. When Yaakov Avinu was at Har HaMoriah and he slept there the night, he prayed and went to sleep, and he had the dream of the ladder, right? And he said, Mam Nora Makom Hazeh, how unbelievable this place is. The angels exclaimed, HaKel HaKadosh, which is the third blessing. It goes on. Oddly enough, the next blessing that we have is Honein Hada'at. I'm just going to tell you this off the cuff. Yosef, who was in the pit, just the night before he was brought out and put in front of Paro. Paro, he had a test. No one gets to speak to Paro unless you know all 70 languages, right? And you're tested. 70 steps, and each step you tested on Swahili. right? And if you don't know it, then you ain't talking anymore. They pull you down, right? An angel came and taught him the night before all 70 languages. To this we say, Honein Hada'at. For this was fixed that next blessing in the Shemona Esrei, the one who gives Da'at, who gives knowledge, giver of knowledge. Because an angel taught him the entire 70 languages. Actually, he knew Hebrew. He was one up on Paro. So when he finally got to the level of Paro, and he said, Mani Shema, Paro said, why'd you all come sidra behind here? Or something like that, right? So no one can hear you. So the next blessing, which is tshuva, if you look at it here, the next blessing in the Shemona Esrei, which is, I think it is, right? Harotzeh bis tshuva, right? Was Ruvain. Ruvain, everybody know the first tribe of the 12 tribes of Yaakov Avinu? When he moved his father's bed, right? Out of the zealousness for the honor of his mother, right? And he got really reprimanded for that big time. Harotzeh bis tshuva, on that event, because even though he did lose the malchut, he did lose the kingship, he did lose the priesthood, still he was able to repent for that, and therefore came the blessing of the one who wants tshuva. And then the next one, it goes all the way down. Every single thing is based on an event that occurred. Now the wild thing is, okay, great, Rabbi. It's not enough. Why? So here we are playing the Shemona Esrei based on those events. It's so unbelievable, the phrase here on number 2. It says, these incidences are happening every day, and they include those incidences, giver of knowledge, wants tshuva, right? Shield of Abraham, okay, are happening every day, and those events include every single thing under the sun. In other words, on our micro level, things that are happening all fit into those 18 categories. In our lives, the lives of everybody around us. Those are the general events, and because we know in the spiritual realm there is no time and space. So in a sense, they are happening now. And that's a lot of, if you'll notice, the language of the Shemona Esrei, a lot of time, most of the, all the time, is in the present tense. It's not past, and it's not will. It's present. It's now giving an entrance to when we go into the Shemona Esrei, what is happening. We are entering into a vortex. It is so unbelievably cosmic in terms of our prayers that if we were to really have the focus and to really have the emunah in a critical mass form, that's why things get so effective with prayer. Okay? If we have the right connection and the right understanding. We, in a sense, are co-creating with the Creator, in a certain sense, as we are praying. That's why it is in the present tense, and basically it's based on those events which are in a different form are happening in the here and now. All of those 18 blessings, which is really 19, but it's really those 18 blessings. In other words, healing, parnasa, right? All of those things we are in a process of having God manifest those realities in the here and now. Okay? That's what prayer is about. As we say, the deeds of the fathers, right? Maaseh avot siman labanim. Everything that happened over then is a sign for the children. Every single thing fits under one of those categories. Okay? So that's just basically an interlude in terms of the 18 blessings, and there's other perushim that the Talmud gives on why it's that order specifically, because it really is, in terms of the real redemption of the world, that is the order that things come in, as we'll discuss later on. Okay? So now, classically, we have always the first 3 blessings are always the same, whether it's Shabbos or during the week, and the last 3 blessings are all the same. Shabbos or during the week, except for, of course, if Rosh Chodesh or whatever have you, or Yom Tov or whatever, Chol HaMoed. But in general, we all know it. Whoever is familiar, they're the same. Okay? The first three, the last three, and then what's in between, of course, on Shabbos is much shorter. It's condensed into one blessing. But of course, during the week, it's basically the rest of the 18 blessings. 18 minus 6 is 12. Okay? Or really 13. So, but the idea here is, why do we have these three, and why do we have those three? So the first three basically is, we always know, the famous phrase is, when you're going to enter before a king, you always have to offer the praise of the king first, before you make your request. It's a general rule, okay? So that's why we come forward, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to praise the king. And really, the king, of course, basic ABCs of prayer. God does not need our prayers. It's all for us, okay? Prayer is really us developing our will, okay? What we call will aerobics, okay? Or on a more Kabbalistic sense, we are developing our kli, or our vessel, to receive the infinite light. All prayer is about that. That's why God loves the prayers of the righteous, right? You know, you'd think, wow, Avram Avinu prayed for how long to have a kid? Right? He had a kid by the time he was 100, right? Till he had a child of his own, right? It's because, well, for Avram Avinu on his level, he wanted a son who was going to go ahead and hand over the entire creed of Judaism, Torah, and everything. It was going to be he was going to be a very holy child. For a holy child, you need a holy vessel. If you don't have a right vessel that's going to receive that light, what's going to happen? It's going to bust, right? It's going to take your little, electric shaver. You plug it into a nuclear power plant. It's going to burst. Your hair dryer will blow up if you plug it into something of that wattage, ampage, whatever voltage. Okay, so you have to build up to where you are a vehicle, a vessel to receive that light. Okay? Actually, it's likened to, I wrote later on here, I saw in one, a different book that my father-in-law showed me, a filament of a light bulb, oddly enough. The filament, you ever see the filament? It's a little wire, right? Little wire, right? It's not the light, but it makes the connection. If it's broken, there's no light. But, of course, we become the filament as we prepare ourselves or work on ourselves through tefillah, through davening, and the light is there. No connection, no light. Okay? But don't ever think, chas v'shalom, that you are the light. That I'm going to teach you to experience in the next coming classes. Okay? We're just the filament. Always the filament, if that at all. Okay? So I wrote here, number 3, in general, the first 3 blessings are praises. Right? Then first one makes his request, and then all prayer should begin like this. And the last blessings, now this is where it really gets wild. They're compared to a servant who made his request and he received his reward. In other words, you have to have the attitude as if you were answered. Okay? This is unbelievable. Like I always teach, tefillah is state management. You can now put yourself in the zone as if your request had already been answered, whatever it is. Right now, you can go ahead and dish to yourself the feeling tone, what it feels like to have your request already answered. What does it feel like? You know exactly what it is. You know exactly how it feels. You can tune into that, and those last 3 blessings are the opportunity to tune in to that zone, okay? To that feeling tone. Very important. You have to feel as if God heard you. You have to feel as if God has answered you. You've been answered, and it's awesome. Okay? You with me? Okay? That's why the last 3 blessings are always there. And they are the way they are, and we'll get into that. The Modim. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Okay, so number 4. Now we get into a little bit of the yoga. Here we go. Does Judaism have yoga? There is, but it's not like the yoga that you might see. Okay? It's very simple, and it's very subtle yoga. Okay? Rabbi Yacobian, thank God I was at his Shabbos, I was at his shul this Shabbos. He always reminds everybody 3 steps back, 3 steps forward, right, left, right, feet together. Okay? That's the classic. Did I say it good? I said it good. I got it. Right? Right? So the 3 steps always has to be your right step, right foot forward. Obviously because the right foot is the strongest foot. And you want to get close to God. And you want to show that you want to come close to God by moving your right foot forward. So it's really right. Like I can, right here. And then your left heel should be not 2 big steps. Should be where the toe of the right foot is, and then you put your both feet together. And the feet have to be together to, as we know, resemble the angels. That's one reason. I saw 2 other reasons. First, we resemble the angels because, don't forget, prayer as it goes to the level of the Shemona Esrei gets very intense. You cannot break away from your Shemona Esrei, except for one reason, I think. Even if a snake is wrapped around your legs, you cannot move, right? Well, because if it's a snake, if you lay still, it's not going to bite you. But if a scorpion, you could get out, right? Then you... Okay, that's the Mishnah. No, not even maybe a black widow spider. But you got to look. You got to turn over its belly to see what is it the right one. Oh, buddy. Okay. Mogain over a hum. Okay, so the idea, of course, you're really not allowed to stop in Shemona Esrei. I mean, there was one great Gemara where there was a guy on the road. He was praying. A Roman general came and said, "Hey, boy," right? And the guy was davening, right? "Hey, boy, you don't answer me, I'm going to kill you," right? I'm going to count to 3. He kept counting, whatever. He didn't kill him until finally got out of the Shemona Esrei, and the rabbi explained it to him. If you were talking to a king and someone else came by, and you go, "Hey, Charles, how's it going? What's that king going to do to you?" He'll kill you. So the general understood and let him be, because here we are. The Shekhinah is right there. Okay, you really got to get into this, because when you go into those 3 steps, you are the high priest. It is Yom Kippur, and you are in the Holy of Holies. So the Shekhinah is right there.
So halakhically, only life or death?
Yeah, absolute.
No. For example, if you pass gas, you step out, you step over.
That's true.
You start over. There's reasons that you do.
Excuse me, my lord. While I take these 3 steppeth backers.
Okay.
I'm back. You're right. You are right. Thank you very much for that. I was trying to avoid that one. Okay.
Are there other reasons?
Even if, let's say, in the Shemona Esrei, where all of a sudden you're in the middle of Shemona Esrei and your stomach drops and you got to go, you don't stop. No, you don't. You don't stop. You finish. You finish Shemona Esrei.
Go and come back and start all over again. No. It depends. There's a lot of halachas about that. Let's not do that now. Yeah, no, it's just...
It's not talk for the table.
I heard that if you feel sick on that way, like stomach...
Listen, if you're gonna pass out, yes, of course, if life threatening.
It's better not to, because you cannot even have...
I know.
On your
because then you're not.
Listen, I'm telling you the halal. If you can hold it in for the time it takes to walk, 40 minutes, 40 minutes, you keep going.
45 minutes?
Yeah. In other words, if you could walk a certain distance and you hold it in...
What congregation...
Not run! Not run! This is the Chavetz this is Mishnah Berurah. I'm not going to get into it, okay? Let's just move forward. We can discuss halachas another time. Thank you.
What if you have like a small child at home and you have to stop because they need you?
Completely different situation there. Small children need your help. They're completely dependent upon you.
That's where this comes in.
So then you stop and then you start again.
You take 3 steps back. Listen, there's other situations where you can. Let's say like this. The classic one is you're in the middle of your praying and the page is ripped out. You take 3 steps back, you go and find another sitter, and then you take 3 steps forward.
But can you just start where you were?
Yes. Yes.
Can? I thought you start over.
Now, if going to the bathroom is different, it depends what kind of a situation. Okay? If it's like when you can't hold it in for 35 minutes, then go ask your local Orthodox rabbi. Okay. Thank you very much. The other reason why because it says Raglayim Regel Yeshara. It says in the prophet, in Ezekiel, it says Raglayim Regel Yeshara, their feet were a straight foot. So it says straight foot. So it's describing the angels, and it describes them as having one foot. Or their legs were together as if they're one foot. Basically, we are resembling the angels when we are in the silent prayer. Okay? The other one was to show weakness to some degree, that we can't move. Here we are like a person whose legs are tied together, or you're like one leg. Therefore, it shows a certain level of weakness. Or like the third one, which is very much like the second, was you can't move without Hashem. Once again, it's getting into the theme of dependency. Okay? We all are dependent creatures, like it or not. Okay? You better, if you haven't realized it, come to realize it now. But the idea here is to live with that, accept it, but of course, turn our dependency only to God. We are only dependent upon God, not on anything else, absolutely. Okay? You have to wean off all the other dependencies, all the other things that distract us, all the other places where we think we're going to get our serenity, our peace of mind, our fulfillment. It's not coming from there. It's one source, and one source only. Okay? So the other position is, in terms of that, we have to have our head bent low. You can't have your chest up and feet up, because of course it's a sign of humility. You are before the holy divine presence. You are before the King of Kings. Eyes closed, very important. If you know the Shemona Esrei by heart, then your eyes should be closed. Or, of course, if you don't, you can look in the siddur. But you cannot look around. I know some of you. None of you do it. But you might go into the synagogue late, and you'll see somebody there, and they're in Shemona. Right? And they're doing that, and they're looking around. I've seen it in certain places where they come in, and sometimes some kids, they can't take their eyes off of you. Right? Right? They just keep looking at you. I'm just trying to dive in here, and the guy keeps staring at me. You're not supposed to look around. Shemona Esrei. Okay? Eyes down. If closed, if possible. If not, eyes on the siddur. Okay? Do not look up. Do not look around. And the reason is here. The angel of death will proceed upon you. In other words, you're opening up to the angel of death. I finally saw the explanation for that. Right? He's Makadim Alav, which he means when a person leaves this world, usually if he's a righteous person and he's given kavod and honor and dignity to the divine presence, to the Shekhinah, he is met by the great bright light of the Shekhinah that escorts him to his great place. If not, then the angel of death, the angel with 1,000 eyes, greets him. Okay? So, therefore, in order, because the reason really the Zohar brings down, it's a measure for measure thing. We give kavod to the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is in front of you. And in order to give the Shekhinah, to give the Shekhinah that honor, the divine presence, we do not gaze at the Shekhinah. Okay? There was a whole idea, actually the Gemara argues in terms of Moshe Rabbeinu, at the burning bush, where he is praised because he averted his eyes. He did the tikkun for Hevel. Hevel, who he was a reincarnation of Hevel. Hevel gazed at the Shekhinah. When the Shekhinah came and burned his offering and accepted his offering, so he gazed at the divine presence, which was not, in that sense, was not kavod. Okay? So one does not gaze at the divine presence, just as one does not gaze at a full moon. Okay?
What is it?
The full moon is a symbol of the Jewish people in their nakedness. So one does not gaze at a full moon.
What is gaze?
It will drive you crazy too.
What?
Contemplar, to look at contemplar?
That's where you get lunatics from. Lunatic. Got it? Moon crazy. Okay? Okay? So, because it's not because it's the Shekhinah also. The full moon is the Shekhinah also. Yisrael, the Shekhinah, we learn the Shekhinah is the mother root of all of the Jewish souls. Okay? So we give kavod to the Shekhinah, we don't gaze. So even in Shemona Esrei, you don't gaze, you don't look up your eyes, don't look around. Keep your eyes on the book, or your eyes closed, and if you can't concentrate like that, just keep your eyes down. Okay? What? You don't stare at it. You look. Okay, say the blessing. You don't. It's so beautiful. Okay. Hey, rainbows are also beautiful. You're not supposed to stare at those either.
Really?
Not supposed to say, I just saw a rainbow outside, everybody come look. You're not supposed to do that.
We say the blessing.
You say a blessing, but tzniut, modesty.
I thought it was.
You don't go tell other people that you saw a rainbow. You know that? You're not supposed to go and tell people you saw a rainbow because it's not a really good. It's the positive, but the negative. It's a positive statement in a negative statement. It's really Hashem says, really, I should kill you, but because I promised Noach a few thousand years ago, I'm not going to. Right. That's really what the statement is of a rainbow. Okay.
Why are you not allowed to point to heavenly bodies? Like, oh, look at that star.
I never heard that. I never heard that you're not allowed to point to that. I never heard that
I was
before.
told that when I was growing up, and I never knew why.
I never heard that.
Okay.
If I find it, I'll let you know. If I come across it. Okay?
Yeah. Put some heat in here.
Okay, so anyways, the idea here is if you denigrate the Shekhinah, the divine presence in your prayers, so then it's a measure for measure kind of thing. So when a person is on their deathbed and they could either see the Shekhinah or the angel of death. Nobody wants to see the angel of death. It's not a pleasant experience from what the Talmud gets into. Angel with 1,000 eyes, got this sword drawn. It's pretty wicked. So in any case, no one wants that experience. Okay. So in any case, keep your eyes closed. All right. So the idea here is also you have to be able to express the words, of course, but your inner ear, your ear should hear them, but the person next to you should not hear them, even the sounds. I'm whispering, Rabbi. It's not if the guy is disturbed next to you. Okay, you have to be able to say them in such a way where just your ear hears it, but no one else. The person next to you, the Arizal says, if you do that, what it causes the klipot, which we kind of discussed last week, to take hold. In other words, the external forces grab hold of that situation. It's not, and so therefore, what happens when they take hold? It opens the doors to all kinds of influences, which are not pleasant. Okay, really, the divine presence is an unbelievable. I mean, the Shekhinah, the Shemona Esrei, the Tikkuni Zohar brings down. It's so. That's why it has to be balachash. It has to be b'tzniut. Because, and I'll go into this in later classes. It's the model of intimacy between a husband and wife. As we know in our halachas, there are many laws in terms of intimacy between husband and wife. Right? No lights. There's a sheet. All of the laws that apply. No, so it's the same model as that. Okay. Shh. The angels go shh. Everybody goes shh. Okay, it's quiet. Okay. Right hand over left when you're standing, of course. That you have to make sure that your right hand over your left hand, your thumbs are in the middle, usually like this. You guys will practice, and your hand is over your heart. Okay, if you have a shtender, of course, if you're holding a siddur, you can't do that. But if you happen to have a shtender here and you want to have the right, this is yoga, right? Your feet together, knees slightly bent. Right hand over left hand, thumbs inside like this over your heart.
Now, where do you hold the siddur?
Like I said, if you have to hold the siddur, you hold the siddur. If you have a shtender in front of you or a table, then you can do this. Okay? Turn the pages. You can stop and turn the pages. You gotta do what you gotta do, right? The halacha. This is from Hannah. Hannah. All of these are Hannah. Spoke softly. Right hand over left. Knees together. Knees slightly bent. That was all comes from which is like. Whoosh, Tfilat Chana is the model of all of our tefillah.
Knees slightly bent?
Yes, if you can do it. If you can. Okay? If it's a problem, then don't. Okay? And it doesn't work that way all the time. Okay? Bowing. Okay? Now, here we're going to get into some interesting things with bowing. Right? There's a maximum you could bow, but of course there's a minimum. Of course, if a person is elderly, weak, or has other situations with their health or something, they can't bow all the way. But you must bow. There are 4 times, really it's a total of 7 in Shemona Esrei that we bow. 2 in Avot. Avot is the first blessing of Shemona Esrei. 2 in Modim. And then, of course, when you're leaving Shemona Esrei at the end, there's 3. So really there's 4 plus the 3 at the end, which equals 7.
Is this custom or halacha?
This is halacha. Straight halacha. Everybody does. This is not the Sephardim hold differently. This is everybody's the same page.
So the Sephardim are different.
Sephardim are not different. Everybody holds. You bow at Avot twice. You bow at Modim twice, and when you leave Shmoneh Esrei, you bow 3 times.
Where's the bowing twice in Modim?
Ah,
At the beginning, at the
beginning
end,
and the
at
end.
is 3.
Avos is when you first begin Avot, you bow once.
No, I'm talking about Modim.
Modim, when you say Modim, you bow, and at the end of Modim, you bow. Very serious. If you must bow, please keep this in mind. You must bow. At the end, when you leave Shmoneh Esrei, you go like, "Oh, say shalom b'mamav, huya say shalom alim." Okay.
Oh, so that counts as 3.
They once had this great story in the Talmud. I remember Rabbi Gorgi told me there was this 7-headed demon snake in the shul that was chasing everybody out. They couldn't get rid of him. He was freaking about it. And they heard that this Rav was coming to town. And he was a big Talmud Chacham. So the rabbi of the town says, nobody give him a place to stay, so he has to sleep in the shul tonight. So everybody refused this guy, this big rabbi, right? So the rabbi had to stay in the shul that night. So of course he stayed in the shul, and when he did his Shmoneh Esrei, every time he bowed, he knocked one of the heads off, and this thing was finished, right? The right? So then the rabbi the next day, have a meeting, like, what'd you do to me? You tried to, thanks for putting me in the situation with, Mr. Sevenhead here, right? Well, there's nothing I could do, man. No one else could take it, and we knew you were a big rabbi. You were going to take care of him, right? Don't let it happen again, man. Next time, just give me a place to stay, man. My back is just aching like crazy.
So
I had to sleep on that bench. It was terrible. What?
The very end counts as 3 bows. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. 1. Oseh shalom b'mamav. Huya say shalom. Aleinu HaKol Yisrael. 1, 2, 3.
But that's not during the prayer.
Let's talk about the main 4 because it's really important. Okay, I'm going to pass these other sheets down to you. Okay. Actually, no. Yeah, well, I'll pass them down. Okay. Don't do the first page. We'll get to that in a few minutes. I want you to go to the 3rd page. The 3rd page. You see where the arrow is on the 3rd page. This is the special kavana for bowing. I spoke a little bit last week about that a person has to, just before they get into the Shmoneh Esrei, has to feel the poverty, the deprivation of the holy divine presence, that the Shekhinah is in exile, poor and destitute. And it is upon us as co-creators to raise the divine presence, to raise the Shekhinah out of exile. It is our life mission. As we always speak about, to raise the holy sparks, it is to raise the divine presence. You see the arrow? Now there's the big Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's the name of God, and in between each letters is Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. You see it? So now, there's special kavanah when you pray. Now this is going to take practice, folks, okay? Like I say, I've been practicing this specific thing. There's lots to think about that we talk about. It's almost too much. Okay? So you take one thing and you work on that for a week, or 2 weeks, or 3, or a month, right? This is practice, but it's just something that you have to be exposed to. Okay? So when you do the first bow, okay, now don't forget, the bowing has laws of itself also, okay? That when you say Baruch, you bow slightly your knees, and then you go Atah. You're not supposed to go too low. You shouldn't go below your waist, or even like total 90 degrees, more like 87 degrees, okay? And you always come up at Atah, okay? That's always how it is. Baruch, Atah, and you always come up at Hashem, at God's name, because God is the one who elevates. Okay? So it's always like that. Actually, the imagery that the Talmud gives is that you go down like a stick and up like a snake. What imagery? It's just amazing. It hits me with Moshe Rabbeinu in my face, but no commentary makes such a connection. The stick and the snake.
But the Sephardim here is different.
I don't know what they do here.
What?
bending your
One,
neck.
2, 3.
Okay,
And it's bending your neck because
Yes,
isn't there
there's a neck bend. We're getting-
bone back there.
we'll get into the
Yeah,
neck,
okay,
the neck
yeah,
bend.
yeah.
Okay, but basically, okay, you you go down quickly, like a stick, and up slowly with the neck, with your head. Then you lift your head up, like a snake. Okay, this is the yoga. Okay, you can even do a breathing motion when you're doing this, right? You- okay, while you're saying Hashem's name. Okay, but in any case, the idea here is when you go down, the first time you go down, you have to visualize the yud here in this, in the mandala that I'm giving you here. The yud goes down to aleph, and when you come up, actually, the idea here is that the language that it gives here is when you bow, the first bow, you have to have intention that the yud of Yud Kei Vav Kei will give light to the aleph of Adanut in order to straighten her, to straighten it out. Now, when you straighten and you come up, you have to have the intention that the aleph of Adanut goes up to Yud, and that's how you have intention for the rest. In other words, the Yud gives light to the aleph for the aleph to come up to the Yud. Okay? So in other words, you can picture it however you want to picture it. You can, this is an experience that you have to give it to yourself in the way you can. But really what it is Yud Kei Vav Kei is the Ein Sof. It's God. Right? It's obviously the other thing is the name of God, but it relates more to the divine presence. God, the Holy One, blessed be He, and His Shekhinah that we're always uniting is done through the bowing. But not only that, we're elevating the Shekhinah. We're taking the Shekhinah up. We're elevating her out of the exile. When we bring the Yud, we give power to the Aleph for the Aleph to come up and join with the Yud. And the same thing by the bow at the end of Avot, which is that the Hey will give light to the Dalet in order for the Dalet to come up and join the Hey. And for the same with Modin, in the Modin prayer at the end of the Shemona Esrei, towards the end, the Vav of Yud Kei Vav Kei gives light at that bow to the Nun, and then when you come up, right, then the Nun will come and join with the Vav, and at the Hey, at the last bow of Modin, the Hey gives light to the Yud, and the Yud then comes up to the Hey. That is the intention of bowing. So in other words, it's a whole meditation, and this is nothing compared to what the Rishash Siddur. The Rishash, Rabbi Shimon Sharabi, has a siddur this thick, just on Shachrit, and all of the different kavanot that you have to have in terms of combining and putting together letters. It's a whole different system of how to do kavanot in davening. We'll touch on a little bit of this. Here's like a little snip of it, okay, of one thing that you could do in terms of bowing, that you're actually bringing up, a level of awareness, okay?
Is this where we get Adonai from?
Yes, we can't pronounce it as the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei as is written, and so we pronounce it like that. This is actually the joining of Yichud Kudsha Brichu Ushchinte, of the Holy One, blessed be He, and His divine presence is this. Okay? So in other words, every time you're bowing, you can have this in mind, because actually we're trying to get the divine presence out of exile. And believe it or not, when we focus even on letters, even though it might not seem to have a connection, they're very powerful. Even to visualize letters have an unbelievable power. We're going to go into the method of the Baal Shem Tov, God willing, and maybe next week or the week after. I'm going to introduce you to a manner of prayer that will just blow you away. Okay? If you could follow it, and it's practice. It's Tai Chi. It's not mastered overnight, but you got to know it. Okay? Because the Baal Shem Tov, he got his level through two things, mikveh and prayer. That's how he got his level. Okay? So it would pay to go at least know what his technique of prayer is. Okay? Because of course we know the famous letter of the Baal Shem Tov, when he does his out-of-body experience and he visits the Mashiach and he goes, "When you coming, man?" Right? And the guy goes, "Dude!" No, he says, "When your teaching is spread abroad and people are practicing what you teach." Heavy statement. So there's lots to say about it.
Can you entertain a question?
If it's quick.
I don't think it's a quick question.
Okay, we'll
The
see.
question's quick. I don't know if the answer is.
Okay, then I'll deflect. But you can ask it. Okay, go ahead.
I've never gotten an explanation as to really what is the Shekhinah.
Okay,
To understand it.
I'll explain that at the end. Okay?
Okay.
It's a heavy one. You're right. It's too deep for us to go into now. We've explained it in previous classes, but at the end I'll take some time. Okay? Remind me. Okay? It's a good question. Okay? So anyways, I say number 9, down like a stick, up like a snake, fast first and slow up with nachas. Bow till you open the vertebrae of the spine. That's important to do that. Okay? If you can, right? In other words, you have to bow so low as that all of the vertebrae of the spine will open up. Okay, that's the separation of the spine. Okay, and then of course, as we come up, there's the head movement that should come up like a snake. Okay, that if you bow down, so the head comes up and then the body comes up.
Why does
okay?
the spine have
So
to...
your head doesn't come up.
Why
last?
does the spine have to be open? I don't know. What?
Your head doesn't come up last.
I've learned that the head comes up first. But I'll look into it again in the halacha. Okay.
So why the imagery of the stick and the snake?
I don't know. The Gemara says that. The Talmud says that.
You say we're saying something like it's talking about Moshe, like
It blasts me with Moshe in my face at the burning bush where he puts the stick down and it turns into a.
The stick. Then they put the
snake
told
when
to
they-
put
when
the
they
Sarah
were beaten
on
by
the
the
stick,
snakes.
but it says you put the nachash on the stick.
Okay, I wasn't thinking about that one, but that's an interesting one. I was thinking more like at the burning bush when or with in front of Paro when his stick turned into a snake, and vice versa, or it was our own stick or whatever. All right. Okay, so once again here, at number 10. Okay. It's all something just because I explained this before. The Avos. The Torah began with the Avos. It only finished with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu completed the giving of the Torah, but it really began with Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. It's an unbelievable statement in the Rambam. So what does it mean by the giving of the Torah or the receiving of the Torah began with them? So Avram Avinu, it is known that he was able to intuit all of the Torah mitzvahs in his kishkas. He learned it from himself. Okay? Really, that is how mankind is supposed to learn the Torah. That is how we're supposed to. We weren't. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu getting the Torah was a b'diavad situation. It wasn't the lichatchila. Okay. It wasn't the best instances if we could access it through our own kishkas, because as we know, we've been taught before a person's born, the angel teaches to hold a tinok in the stomach of his mother the entire Torah, right? And only when he's born he gets slapped to make it forget. So then what's the purpose of teaching it to him? It's in there. We can't access it, but through prayer you can. Okay? Because Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, they prayed. Through their prayers. Because really, they were able to connect to the real I. The real Anochi. Their real self. The real source of where they came from. We're very far away from connecting to our real I. If you could, it took me a while to figure that out, but, most of us are really a mishmash of coming together of different things that we adopted. Behavior patterns, perceptions, ideas, even from the greatest of books. Our Sfarim, holy rabbis, we've still taken from here together, and we basically got ourselves put together, and we're navigating ourselves through life in that way. Do we really know who we really are? It's very hard.
Is the real
to access.
I the soul?
See, we can't even access the. Yes, it is. It's totally the whole soul. It's totally the source, but it's really coming from a place called ayin. Ayin means what? Anybody know? Ayin means nothingness. Ayin, nothing. But if you take the same words of ayin, aleph, yud, nun, and you switch them, it becomes ani, I.
But it's ayin, it's with the ayin.
No, that's a different kind of ayin. That's the I. There's another ayin, like Ein Sof.
Oh, okay.
Aleph Yud Nun.
That's the difference.
The highest sphira of all of the sphirot, which is Keter, right, is called ayin. Right? The lowest of all the sphirot, Malchut, where we are connecting with, is Ani. It's just a letter switch. But you see, in order to connect to the Ani, you have to get it from the ayin. You have to get it from the place of nothingness. Okay? It's one of those things where in prayer we can access that place. It's like I was talking to somebody today about it. It's like it is. There's an unbelievable house. It's got unbelievable things are coming out of it. The address is this and this and this and this. Okay? It's on 4537 Luddington Drive. It's an unbelievable house. Awesome stuff comes out of the house. You'll go and you'll drive by it and you won't see the house. You won't see it. There's nothing there. Right? But things are coming out of it. You can't access the house. You can't go in there. But there's stuff coming out of it that is awesome. Okay? That's what it is. Our ayin, is awesome stuff is there. It's where our real eye is, which is really a place that we cannot access, but awesome stuff comes out. Okay? So, but what it is when we go into the Shemona Esrei and we have all the right things and the right moves and the right techniques, it's what we call alignment. Really, all of the Torah and all of the 613 commandments are really 613 alignments, 613 instructions, 613 pockets of energy. Okay? Commandment is not the correct word for mitzvah. Okay? Mitzvah comes from the word tzavot, which means connect or bind. There's 613 bindings. Okay? They're connections. Okay? So really, davening or prayer is about that alignment. Okay? So now we have to get into Baruch Atah. I promised you. I got to give it to you. It's going to change you, guys. Okay? We might have to go over just a few minutes. I hope you'll have Rachmanis on me. Look at the first page here. Do you have this? First page. This is from Nefesh HaChaim. Rav Chaim Voloshin, who was the student of the Vilna Gaon. The meaning of bracha. Most people will relate to bracha as, I don't know what it says in your art scroll. Amanda, what does it say in your art scroll? Baruch.
Blessed are you.
Oh, great. Blessed. Right? I was never taught that in grade school. Right? Can never relate to blessed. Right? In third grade? Were you ever taught the word blessed in third grade? Didn't know what that meant. Still don't know what it means. Okay? The word Baruch does not mean blessed or praised. Booyah! Okay? As an adjective, as most people think. Proof of this is that when God said, Yishmael, my son, bless me, there's a passage in the Talmud where Yishmael, who's the high priest, goes into the Holy of Holies and he sees this unbelievable imagery he sees God. And this angel, his name is Akatriel. It's an unbelievable experience. He's experiencing the Holy of Holies. Yishmael, my son, bless me. So Rabbi Yishmael, the Kohen Gadol, did not praise God at all. Instead, he said, may it be your will that your mercy should suppress your anger, etc., etc. And thus he responded by praying for divine mercy. So he said, bless me. And what happened? He didn't get a blessing. He was a may your mercy suppress your anger. It was a prayer. So blessing is not praised, are you? Okay? There is a commentary of the Rashba who does say it is. Okay? But we're going to look at Rav Chaim Voloshin because we have to get a different angle. The true meaning of bracha is asking God to increase that which is being blessed. In other words, it means tosefet v'ribui, two words that it brings down in the language. Tosefet, which means addition or increase. We want more of. Okay? Baruch, the root of Baruch actually comes from bricha, which is pool, which is like a source. I saw it in another book where actually, if you really want to get to Baruch, in another definition, it means source. So when you're saying Baruch Atah Hashem, in a certain sense, you're saying source are you God. Yud Kei Vav Kei. Ein Sof.
So then the root is Bareh?
Baruch, Bet Reish Chaf. Okay, Bet Reish Chaf. Okay, and it has Baricha, pool, right? Barech knee, go figure, right? Okay? Because when you bend your knees, you're actually making a shift. There's heavy stuff going on in Shemona. There's heavy stuff going on all the time we're not really aware of. Our subtle movements, we think that have no effect on the worlds, but they have an unbelievably powerful effect on the worlds. Your hands, Avraham Avinu would not lift a finger if it wouldn't be God telling him to, because he understood every movement creates an unbelievable reverberatory effect in all of this world and all of the other spiritual worlds as well. We are the exact same. Problem is, we're so desensitized we really don't know. We're in the dark. I pictured it a couple of weeks ago as if, imagine now, here you are sitting here, right? And if all of a sudden the veils of reality, to a certain degree, not even such a major degree, not the Ein Sof, because we couldn't take a revelation of the direct Ein Sof, of the infinite right now. But imagine all of a sudden the veils of what was really going on in some of the spiritual realms would become open, and you would find yourself in the center of a huge arena, surrounded by, if not hundreds of thousands and millions of angels who are all looking at you. You are alone, right? And they're rooting for you to do the right thing at any historical moment. Imagine that, right? And if you blow it, and what would they be saying? Like, oh no, right? And that is happening every single moment. Thousands and thousands of angels and forces are looking upon us going, is he going to do it or not? Is he going to do this or not? Is he going to overcome this challenge or not? Right? Or you're not like what we see in the movies where the killer comes in the house and the girl goes up the stairs, right? Running from the monster. And they go, no! Everybody in the movie theaters, don't go up the stairs. That's not where to go to run away from the beast, right? Exactly what they're doing to us, okay? No, don't go there. Unbelievable effects. Every thought, every word, every action. Okay, we are in the dark. We're clueless. We're in a void here where we do not see what's really going on in the spiritual realm. Anyways, but getting to bracha. Okay, one definition of Baruch source, but here his definition is increase. This is very important. Increase that which is being blessed, as in he will bless your bread and your water. Blessed here means increase. And he will bless the fruit of your womb, which means increase. And there are many more verses like these. These passages clearly denote increase. They certainly cannot be interpreted as expressions of praise or glorification. It's not a thank you. Okay? But when we recite the bracha and bless God, as in most brachas, where we say, blessed are you, Hashem, our God, we are not speaking about God himself. After all, God is perfect and lacks nothing. Right? Thus, increasing anything about him is ridiculous. We're not asking him to increase. No. The essence of God is completely beyond human comprehension. When we speak of God, we are referring to his attributes as they become apparent to us by the way he sustains and guides the world and his creations with justice, kindness, or mercy. That's why we describe him as Almighty, Judge, Merciful One, and Compassionate One. And even the ineffable name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei does not refer to God's essence, we know this, right? But to his relationship with the worlds. You cannot touch the essence of God. That is Judaism 101. It's incomprehensible. Since Yud-Kei Vav-Kei means he was, is, and will be, and he grants existence to all, those are the kavanot that we've spoken about in earlier classes that you have to have when you say Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. In other words, it is his will to sustain and keep in existence all the worlds every instant. He is constantly giving everything its existence. And so, the purpose of reciting a bracha is what? To increase our awareness of God in creation. Once again, God doesn't need our prayers. God doesn't need our, we thank God. He doesn't need our thank you. Okay? Even if you would want to say it's a thank you. Okay? According to the Rashba. But according to him, it's not that at all. We want to increase our awareness of God in creation. First in our own mind, and then in the minds and lives of as many people as we can reach. Here's the last line. Therefore, when we bless God, we are really saying, please increase your presence in creation. When we say the word Baruch, it's a completely different idea. You have to meditate on this. So those Kabbalists, when they say Baruch, the real big ones in Jerusalem, who have the book this thick just on Shacharis, it's Baruch. It's maybe even longer than how I just said it. Because what are they thinking of when they say that? Yes, increase His presence now.
The last sentence.
More of you now. More of you right here now. It's not praised are you. We are a conduit. We are co-creating when we make a blessing. We are bringing more of God into this realm of darkness.
Bringing more of God?
Increase.
Or is it increasing
He already is.
our
Awareness. That's it. Experience.
That's
Yes.
getting everybody to be aware of His presence, that everything comes from God.
Yeah. That's what it is, exactly.
Which
Right.
is
Of course, God is
hard.
everywhere. He's right here, right now. But we want the awareness to increase, right? So when we go Baruch, you have to have that in mind, right? It's Baruch. Everybody practice it, okay? Practice it. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. No, you got to do this, okay? And you just want more, okay? You just got to say more. Say we're just going to say Baruch Atah. We're going to say 2 words, but you got to do it long. No, you're not a visualization, because it's a feeling. It's an experience. It's Baruch Atah. Okay? So you have to think about it all the time, and every time you say a blessing, no matter what, even on a piece of fruit. Now, the Kabbalists would have a joke with each other, because they would say Baruch for so many times, and all of the Kavanah would take them a long time to say. So when they would greet one person to another, sometimes they would go, Shalom. Okay. In any case, that's just a joke. Okay? So Baruch means more of. Increase, tosefet v'ribui. Increase, more of, and increase. Okay? Meaning, really, I am more aware of you right now. Be more now.
But it's not just awareness, Rabbi.
Please increase your presence in creation. Right? Yes?
It's active. It's not a passive awareness. It's an active action
Okay.
on our part. It's a doing, not just a...
Well, you're saying, you're visualizing, you're feeling, you're tuning in.
But you're bringing down. You're
Yes,
acting.
and you're bringing down.
You're acting.
You're Baruch,
Right.
because you're opening up the well. Once again, the other definition, the other concept that I have of the word Baruch is what I said before, source. Okay? And that's all of prayer is about that. Everything that we do, we have to constantly recognize our source. Like I say, we're creatures of dependency. We have to be aware of our Avinu B'Shamayim, our Father in heaven, who is our unlimited source. He is unlimited. So when we say Baruch, another way, understanding is source. Baruch. Now, Atah is an unbelievable word. You know, it implies incredible intimacy. You know, not only, when I was in Israel, and you will go to a rabbi, big rabbis. Not like, here in Houston they're big, but I'm talking about you go to the real rabbis. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but people refer to them as third person. It's something strange that maybe none of us, especially me growing up in California, was not used to. I always refer to my Rosh Hashiva as you. But when I got to another real serious, like one of those old-time established places, all of the yeshiva students, the young guys, always refer to the head of the school as in third person. Does the Rosh Hashiva mean this, or did the Rosh Hashiva mean that? Did the rabbi mean this, or did the rabbi mean that? They refer to him in third person, which is really, according to the custom, that's how you address somebody who's very important. And the same way it was when you address a king. Does His Majesty mean this, or His Majesty mean that? You don't say you to the king. But here we get a chance to say you to the King of Kings. It's an unbelievable expression of unbelievable intimacy. You are right here and now. That is my relationship to you. Source are you is an unbelievable statement implicating unbelievable intimacy.
So is it improper to refer to a rabbi
Here, I'm sure the rabbis are okay with you.
they might be, but
if you'll go to New York even, I'm telling you, these big rabbis, they refer to as third person. They will. It happens.
always referring to the rabbi.
Now, and that's always going to slip out from me because I'm an old surfer from California, right? I mean, you said this, right? So, and they're okay. They're not going to slap me, okay? But those who grew up with such a custom, they will always refer to them.
So as you're talking to the rabbi, you would say, does the rabbi say this?
I just gave you an example. Yes.
Yes.
Did the Rosh Hashiva,
Yes.
let's say you're the Rosh Hashiva. Did the Rosh Hashiva want some water? Does the Rosh Hashiva need a book? Does the Rosh Hashiva need something?
Oh, wow.
Like
They
the
refer to
general,
it.
does the,
Yeah.
yes, sir, I know.
So atah is very intimate. You have to really have an unbelievable intimacy. God wants to be intimate with us. The problem is we have intimacy challenges with Him. Okay?
Now, Rabbi, you're saying we shouldn't say the prayer loud, but
Shmona Esrei. Okay? Okay, yeah, you don't go bara. No. But when you make a blessing on fruit, bara. I dare you. Okay? Everybody's going, what is you nutcase, boy? All right? So, Baruch.
So you're bringing this
increase. It's actively increasing. He is increasing now. The awareness is increasing now in my heart and the heart of everybody around me. Baruch. That's what it is. Okay? Atah, source are you, Yud Kei Vav Kei, of course. We know the kavanot of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is who is the master over everything, who was, is, and will be. He even said it here in a different way. He gives a granting constant existence to all, and he was, is, and will be. Okay, you can even underline it. It's on the third to last paragraph here. So, but what I look at it is Ein Sof. Ein Sof means unlimited. Source, are you unlimited?
like the source of everything.
Yes. But you are in direct connection with that. And you're recognizing it, and you're making it increase. You're actively increasing that awareness of the source, and you are aware of the source to a great degree. Okay, that's Baruch Atah. I don't know if we should go on or we should stop now. Okay, we could stop now and we can do the rest of the Avos later. It's up to you. Anybody want to? I'm going to end off with this. This is very important. I'm going to skip to 13, and that's it. When you think of Avos, Rabbi Yitzchak Shiri wrote a great Musar Sefer, book on ethics. The book was so shocking. As a matter of fact, I think it disappeared the day it was put on the bookshelves in the bookstores. Okay, but he quotes a source that that a person has to say. He always has to say, when will my deeds reach the deeds of the forefathers? But he goes on, he elaborates a little bit. Okay, and I'm even elaborating even more. When you go into the Shemona Esrei in the first blessing, and this is your homework meditation for the week, you got to stop. You got to stop for a minute. When you say, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avosenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak ve'Elokei Yaakov. You have to stop for a minute, and you have to ask yourself the question, what were the thoughts, words, and deeds of the forefathers that connected them to the Holy Unlimited, that warrant that the Holy Unlimited would declare them and their descendants forever attached? In other words, what did they think about? What were Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, what were their contemplations that God would say, you know something, you're it, and all of your generations after you. Nobody else. They did something. They were thinking something, and there's no thought that you cannot think. There's no thought you cannot think.
Well, they actually got more credit than any of us because there was nobody that believed in it before them.
They innovated,
So they had-
and they stuck with their commitment. They committed. But you have to. This is a meditation. He says The strongest remedy against the evil inclinations is to sit for an hour a day and contemplate what were they doing that God would say, you're it. I love you. I'm sticking with you and all of your descendants forever. What were their contemplations? What were their words? What were the actions? What were they thinking? What were they doing where God would say, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I made creation about. This is it. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. It's not an easy answer, and it changes. And you have to get into it. It's something very internal to connect to this. And then that's question number 1. What were their deeds? Question number 2. When will my deeds reach their deeds? Strongest antidote against the evil inclination, he says, to contemplate these things. So when you're in Shemona Esrei and you hit Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, just gonna think for a couple of seconds. Wow, what they do. When will what I do be like what they do? And just ask the question. The mind is a supercomputer. You ask it a question, the answers will come. But you got to ask the question, and ask the question with sincerity. Okay? With that, we'll leave. Go contemplate, and we'll see you back next week. Okay? And we'll finish with the rest of it. And I'll answer your question about the Holy Divine Presence.
I wanted to ask you something else.
Yes.
You know the word Baruch. You said the